Welcome on into the Fantasy Football Forge Week 5 waiver wire video and a couple of boilerplate things. First of all, up on the screen you can see follow-up injuries to previous week's injuries. So if you have a player that you're curious about the likelihood of them returning, there you go. That gives you a pretty good idea. Check them out while I do these boilerplate items. First of all, for the waiver wire options, I'm looking at players who are less than 50% owned on ESPN. So if you have someone available in your league that you're not sure of what I might think of them, there's a decent chance they're just less, more than 50% owned on ESPN platforms, and they're available in your league. And if you still have questions, just ask in the comments. I will get to questions asked in the comments by Wednesday evening. It might take me till till Tuesday evening, because Tuesdays are chocked full for me. Very, very busy days. But I do try to keep an eye on that for rest of day Monday and on Tuesdays to try and answer some questions that come through. Monday Night Football has not happened yet, so any significant additions or changes due to Monday Night Football will be captured in the comments section, and or you can find the sheet up on the website, www.theFFforge.com, where I will update things after tonight. And so, yeah, one way or the other, you can see if something major happened, how that affected things after this video was recorded. And that website's linked down in the description, where you can also find my rankings throughout the week. And you can come visit me live for any start sit questions, to hang out, just to talk ball. Most easily, just the hangout talk ball is Saturday evenings, but I'm available Thursdays and Saturdays, both at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursdays, of course, that's leading up into the game for start sit questions. And Sunday mornings as well, 2 hours prior to kickoff, I'm here on YouTube live. So come check it out, hang out, ask any questions that you have. It's always much appreciated, too. And that's going to bring us on to the week 4 injuries. The big bit of news there you can already see is the Rashee Rice injury, of course. Now, nothing is confirmed yet. They're actually running more tests, was the last report as of the time of recording this. And I'm sure some breaking news will come out the moment that I get done editing this or uploading it. But for now, we do not know for sure, and I think that's good news that they're going to be running more tests. That means that the initial MRI was not conclusive about this being a torn ACL, season-ending type of injury. So we'll see. Maybe we'll dodge a bullet to some extent here. Christian Watson is suspected to be a possible IR candidate with his high ankle sprain, so they'll probably see how that recovers throughout the week, and then make a decision Friday or Saturday. Devontae Adams is week to week with that hamstring injury that forced him to miss this week. Jonathan Taylor has an ankle sprain. We haven't heard more details, but yesterday after the game, they said that it was mild. Jonathan Taylor did. So 1 to 2 weeks is probably what you should anticipate, but there is a chance that maybe it is not much, and Jonathan Taylor could be returning. Taysom Hill, same injury. I don't know. I don't know what to expect with that, because he had the same injury last week. Malik Neighbors, concussion. He had that on Thursday. 9-day recovery time gives him time to recover in time to be available for this week's Sunday's game. Of course, that's on average, so we'll see. But there is a chance that we could get Malik Neighbors back, even though usually players miss a week with concussion due to the extended time, of course, a little extra time to heal. And Anthony Richardson with that random hip pointer, haven't seen that injury in a while, it feels like, is day-to-day, and there's really 2 extremes to this. Either he'll be available this week or he won't be, and he'll miss 1 week. Shouldn't be any more than that. Couple of things. Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford, if you want to buy one, sell Jerome Ford, buy Nick Chubb. Here is your last chance pretty soon. Some decisions, now or next week, within a short period of time. Decision will be made on when to bring Nick Chubb up and open up that 3-week window for him to come back and join the team. And at that point, the values are going to start to change on these guys and be less hard to get or sell, depending on which one. Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford there in order. And then also, CH, it's a mental health issue. People were talking about how his has the ability to return after week 4 here. To me, the signing of Kareem Hunt to the 53-man roster was the hint that I don't know that CEH, it's a mental health issue. We can't put a timetable of return on this. I don't have any clue. It depends on him where he's at, and it's not a physical time limit on this thing. So I think that they do not believe that he is returning anytime soon, because they bring Kareem Hunt onto the 53-man roster, I think that means that they were expecting to have him for several weeks, more than 3 weeks, which case to me means that they're not bringing CH back in that time frame. Or not expecting him to be back, at least in that time frame. So, if you want to know more on my thoughts on that, feel free to ask in the comments, but there's the quick of that. For the quarterbacks, the rest of season, I actually would flip this. Sam Darnold rest of season at the highest, but for the short term, not too very excited about him, and you got to hold on to him and not use him for a little while. So, if you're not in a situation where that's what you're doing, then we're looking more short term. Justin Fields, in the short term, I think he is the guy here going up against Dallas, the 9th best matchup there. So that's what these little numbers are, and red being best, red being worst, green being best, and then that number will tell you how high up. In terms of fantasy points scored against these by this position. And Geno Smith somewhere in the middle here between a guy who I want rest of season. He was at the top of my list last week, and a guy who I want in the short term. You know, he does not have as nice of a schedule as Justin Fields in the short term, so just kind of pushed him down, but season long, pretty excited about Geno Smith and that offense, and we'll see how they do tonight, of course, too. That could have some implications on some thoughts. Running backs, so Kareem Hunt does make the top of my list, but I don't want to go crazy on this for fab or anything like that. I do, I have Kareem Hunt on a team. I'm happy to have him as a backup running back. I think there is some value to having the number 1 running back of the Kansas City Chiefs, even if it's a struggling Kansas City Chiefs. But it is a struggling Kansas City Chiefs, and Kareem Hunt is, he's not as good as he once was, but I think he's familiar with the system. I think he did well enough that the team's going to continue to have him as the number 1 running back in the short term there until, the hope would be until Isaiah Pacheco comes back. Trey Sermon has a really good matchup. That is only, of course, if Jonathan Taylor misses some time here. And so, the 7th best matchup there for Trey Sermon. I'm on top of that. If, you just don't be careful with what kind of resources you're using to get him is the thing. Rico Dowdle, season long here, much like Kareem Hunt, is a guy who last week I told you, I also told you last week for Kareem Hunt, by the way, if you missed this video, I was on top of that one, said that he'd be the starting running back for them. And Rico Dowdle is the starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys, and therefore in any league that's got 8 teams or more, Rico Dowdle should be on a roster. He's the starting running back of a NFL team, and with that comes a certain amount of opportunity, and we just saw last week what that can turn into, 10 plus fantasy points easily. Now, that said, the reason he's not higher, he's got Pittsburgh, Detroit, and then a bye. Really, really rough matchup schedule there. And then Cam Akers has the best running back matchup next week if Joe Mixon does not return. It was kind of looking like Joe Mixon had a chance of returning, so I'm kind of expecting that he will. And that's part of the reason why I have Cam Akers as low as I do on this list. But still, somebody that you want to throw a backup option out there. You need help. Take a risk, take a chance on. There you go. Then we have the wide receivers, probably the most valuable position this week on the waiver wire in most people's opinions. Dontavian Wicks going up against the Los Angeles Rams, the 6th best matchup this upcoming week. Love that, and I love these guys for season long too. Most specifically, Wicks, Leggett, Wan'Dale Robinson, I think are all you're thinking season long here. And for Leggett and Wan'Dale Robinson, I think you're going to want to be thinking season long. In the short term, if you need them, I'd rather get Wicks, especially, but also season long, I'd rather have Wicks for Green Bay, Jordan Love, and all that. But Xavier Leggett, I wanted to see it, I said last week, and we saw it. Unfortunately, now he's got Chicago this week, a tough matchup. But still, long-term, Andy Dalton, as long as he's the quarterback there, as long as Adam Thielen is injured, like in Xavier Leggett, a fair bet. Wan'Dale Robinson, full PPR, I would like him more than Xavier Leggett. So he's a full PPR guy. I think we've seen enough to say that, okay, this offense is going to have to pass quite a bit, and Wan'Dale is one of the top 2 targets in that passing offense. He's going to get a fair share of those. So that's great. Really, really tough matchup coming up against Seattle, though. They've allowed the least points to the wide receiver position in half PPR. And Josh Downs has a really good matchup. So if Joe Flacco is the quarterback, I love that. And that's my concern with Josh Downs long term and why I do have him near the bottom of this list, despite the fact that he's my favorite and I think the most talented out of all these guys on this list, is that when Anthony Richardson is there, it's a run-heavy offense, more so than with Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco's more accurate. So just the target share, even though I think it's roughly that both like getting the ball towards Josh Downs, throwing it in his direction, but Anthony Richardson just a little less accurate. And so it just makes Josh Downs a little tougher to trust. So that's why he's at the bottom of the list. But I still like him quite a bit and worth taking a shot on in case Joe Flacco is the quarterback this week in that really good matchup against Jacksonville. Tucker Kraft is the tight end guy to own if you need a second or a primary tight end, which very well could be the case as well, in terms of a guy who has that top 12 kind of tight end upside. So Packers tight end, he's been the number one tight end all year. Jordan Love's back, so he has a chance here. And then Noah Fant, we'll see how he does tonight, but he is one of, several tight ends who I have, on my watch list essentially, but he's at the top of it, and with Monday Night Football not having happened yet, there you go. But Zach Ertz was on top of that list. He's more than 50% owned currently. That might go down after this last weekend again, but he's always a guy who's right in the same bucket. And I have added Eric All Jr., Cincinnati rookie tight end, to my watch list. He's getting more and more work in that offense, and so that's something to keep an eye on. I don't expect it to turn into enough fantasy-wise, but you might have a few weeks at least. And that's going to turn us into the DSTs for Week 6. I've got Denver at the top of my list, followed by Seattle Seahawks, followed by New England Patriots. Denver going up against the 4th best matchup. Seattle Seahawks going up against the New York Giants, 6th best matchup. And New England Patriots going up against Miami, the 3rd best matchup. In that order, I like them. Long term, nothing too much to look at, although New England is going to see Jacksonville in 3 weeks, and that's a good matchup currently, so that is something to look forward to if you were to get or aim for New England Patriots. There you go. That is it for the Week 5 waiver wire. Please check out rankings videos will be coming out throughout the week, running back, wide receiver, and then a quarterback and tight end video on Thursday morning. And that is it for now. So peace out. Thank you very much. Have a good one. And ask any questions you have in the comments.